Hey yo, what it do? Welcome back to another episode of Elevation Talks. I appreciate y'all tuning in, man, all around the world. Shout out to everybody that's been listening, sharing, commenting, just everything, man. Y'all been going crazy on some of the posts, man, and I appreciate that. I hope y'all got a chance to watch the last episode. If you didn't, go back and check it out. But today, man, we continue on our conversation about relationships. I think it's so important to talk about this because I feel like for a long time, this is one of those subjects that you might hear about, but nobody is really like going deep down into how people really feeling. You know what I'm saying? And one of the things that has plagued me for a long time was my relationship story. And I'm not gonna lie, like I have started over several times. And to be honest with you, it used to be a lot of shame in that for me, man, because people would make me feel like, dang, Naye, you in a new relationship, you starting over again. And so I would start feeling like bad about it because it's like, I mean, dang, like not saying that I'm like outside, like, you know what I'm saying? But it's just more so like, nah, like I keep starting over because there's a specific connection that I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? And I really do feel that. Like, I'm a lover. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I'm the type of person that I absolutely love. Like, when you see them 90s classics and you got your R&B and all of that, listen, man, when I get to singing, ooh, come on. A late night from the back when we made good love. Like that right there. You feel me? Like it's something about like the back in the day R&B 90s, man, that just it does something to my spirit. You know what I'm saying? And that's the type of love that I yearn for. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of connection that I desire to have when it comes to my partner, my person. You know what I'm saying? And so, over the years, I have spent too much time in relationships that were unbalanced. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times I think it's easy for us to, call out what other people are doing and aren't doing, right? But I actually started spending more time with myself and understanding where my shortcomings were. And me spending the time to do that actually has positioned me to be in a better space to actually go after the type of connections that I say I want to have. And the thing about like some of the patterns, because that's what it is, there are patterns or like relationship cycles that kept plaguing me and probably plaguing you. And it's just like, okay, my mom used to have this saying, same actions equal same results, right? And so when I think about that, I think about if I keep settling, I'm going to keep getting the same results because I'm settling. You understand what I'm saying? If I keep overplaying my role and my position when it comes to these relationships, I'm never going to actually get the type of love or receive the type of love that I say I want. Receive the type of experience that I say I want. You know what I'm saying? And so literally I had to start checking myself and the things that I say I want. I actually had wrote a list many years ago about, what I desired in my next relationship / marriage. And yes, I say marriage, pause. Some of y'all don't know, but I was married a few years ago. You hear me? And I was married for 6 months to a woman that I had been in and out of a relationship with for like 6 years. We had been engaged for 3 years out of those 6 years. We finally got married and we literally stayed married for 6 months. And then I filed for divorce. Crazy, right? Yeah, I mean, a complete roller coaster. But honestly, and this is no disrespect to my ex-wife, shout out to you, but it was one of the best decisions I had made for myself when it came to love and relationships. Because if I would have stayed in that marriage, I would have continued to settle, be unhappy with her, be unhappy with myself, and I would have never became the person that I am today had I kept holding on to the relationships that no longer serve me. So this is why, it's so important to have like those hard conversations with yourself and others, because you don't even know what you're holding yourself back from just by staying attached to that relationship or to that person. You know what I'm saying? And so going back to like the conversation about patterns, some of the patterns that I started like recognizing within myself, which you might have the same ones, but I'm gonna just be brave enough to put my business out there. But I would overgive to feel chosen, right? Ooh, that's a good one. Ooh, like I can't tell y'all, like I'm a giver at heart. You feel what I'm saying? So it's just like generosity is my thing off top. And so especially when it comes to like my partner, like I just be like here. And I'm not just talking about like from a financial standpoint. Like I'm talking about just life. Like I am a helpmate. Like I know that. But one of the things that I want to say, just because you are in a relationship with that person doesn't mean that that's your partner. Okay, so another thing that I used to do, staying too long to prove loyalty. Y'all, I'm a Leo. Loyalty is huge to us. And so literally, you used to hear that saying like, ride or die. Like, oh, that's my ride or die. And so literally, man, I would just be in the trenches with whatever person I'm dating at the time. And I'm thinking that that's me showing them how much I love them. Right. And don't get me wrong. Like, you definitely want to make sure that you are dating somebody that is going to be with you, through various seasons and stuff like that. Right. But it's all about intentionality. There are some people who literally just trying to take you through there, and they not moving with intention. You know what I'm saying? Or at least the right intention. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, like it's like I don't want to be a ride or die. You feel what I'm saying? Like I don't want to be put in that type of situation. I don't want you to put me in that type of situation, and I don't want to be put in that type of situation. You understand what I'm saying? So I grew up in that era of like, yeah, ride or die. So boom. So, stay too long. Confusing emotional chaos with passion. Whew. That's what kept me in a lot of my relationships longer than I should have been, because now that I think about it, when I think back, those relationships that lasted 6 years and 10 years and all of that, they should have never even made it out of year one. Woo, come on. Imagine taking a pause, right? Being honest enough with yourself to be like, yo, when I look back on certain experiences, I recognize that joint should have never made it out of season 1, let alone for us to be in season 12 and 15. Like, nah, yo. And you know what? Shout out to Mary J. Blige. She got a new movie coming out. I think it's called Be Happy. And I was watching the trailer for it, and one of the quotes in there that really like stuck with me was when the lady said, "We wasn't taught to be happy. We were taught to stay." Oh my goodness, y'all. When I tell y'all, that really felt real to me, because I'm like, I can look back on so many like relationships, even just from like looking at my parents. Like they stayed because that's what they was taught to do, not because this was the love of my life and I want to keep trying with you and I want to keep building with you. Like, no, like it wasn't that. You feel what I'm saying? And even to this day now, there are so many people that still married, still in relationships, still in connection, whatever you want to call it, situationships. You know what I'm saying? With people that they know that they are settling for. You know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, both of y'all could be settling for each other. You understand what I'm saying? And so it's just like, it's so hard to start over, right? And it's like, even though it's hard, it's definitely necessary because you don't even recognize, and I said this earlier, you don't even recognize how much you are holding yourself back from. Like, there is a whole nother life waiting for you on the other side of starting over. Man, what? Yeah, come on, man. And that's a job, that's a relationship. Like, there's so many different avenues. Like, listen, when I tell y'all, man, I finally got to a point within my relationships where I had to, like, literally stop choosing potential and started choosing reality. Because that used to be one of the things for me. Like, I would be so stuck on, man, I see the potential in this person. I see who this person can become. I see who this person can be. And it's like, okay, but the reality of it is, this is who they are today, right? And that potential that you might be falling in love with, that potential that you might see, that might not ever happen. Or it might be eons down the road. The question is, are you going to be able to manage today? Are you happy enough today to stay and see that through? You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the real answer is no. And can't nobody shame you for that. Sometimes we get so wrapped up in, well, what are people gonna think? If I start over, I'm too old, or we got kids, or we got assets, we got this, we got that. And it's just like, yo, I understand that all of these things are important, right? I'm not saying that they're not important. But I think more than anything, you are important. Your life is important. Do you understand what I'm saying? Your happiness is important. Your well-being is important. When you begin to show up, my goodness, I'm finna talk. When you begin to show up and you're coming from a space of joy and happiness, because you know now you are in right relationship with self. You are in a better relationship with another person. There is so much fulfillment from that, yo. Man, I remember when I got into my single season, I immediately was like, okay, well, what's next? What's now? And it's like, God is like, nothing. Spend time with me. Focus on me. You know what I'm saying? Seek me first. You feel me? Live righteous and I'll add all those things to you. And it's like, okay, Lord, what does that mean? And it's crazy because I'm going to tell y'all something that's really wild. I found myself, as I started spending more time with God and actually telling him and being honest about where I was in my relationship and how I felt about the person that I was dating, he really started revealing to me why this wasn't going to work. You know what I'm saying? He started showing me, okay, we're outgrowing each other. I'm actually settling in this area. And you know what's even crazy about that? Once he really showed me that I was settling in my relationship, he showed me how I was settling in other parts of my life. And I was just like, dang, that makes so much sense. Like, of course, if you settling in your relationship, of course you're settling in other areas of your life, because that's the thing about life. It's all connected. It all flows together. It all bleeds over into one another. So if you're constantly compromising within your relationship, that means you're compromising in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where I had to sit back and think about it and just recognize and be honest with myself and be like, yo, this really, like, I'm really sitting here settling. And it's like, no wonder I'm not waking up with joy. You know what I'm saying? No wonder I'm feeling defeated throughout the day. You know what I'm saying? No wonder I'm so unhappy with just everything. It's because I'm settling in so many different areas that now I can't put this mask on. You know what I'm saying? I can't keep this mask on. I can't keep living this life this way And God actually slowed me down for me to like recognize that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it got to a point, even my last relationship, it was healthy, but it wasn't the healthiest. I say it was healthy because it was the healthiest relationship that I had, right? Up until that point. But when I can actually like pause and be honest about it, there were things within that relationship that put me in like fight mode. You know what I'm saying? There were things within that relationship that put me in a space where it's like, yo, I'm defensive, I'm this, I'm that. And it's like, are you okay? And it's like, well, no, I don't feel safe. Right? And so it's like, okay, I even had to break that down. Like, well, this is a healthy relationship. Okay, if it's healthy, why don't you feel safe? You feel what I'm saying? And I was like, dang, okay. And so it really just, again, I started sitting with myself even more, where it's like, okay, there were ways that I made her feel unsafe, and there was ways that she made me feel unsafe. So what, like, let's start identifying some of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? And so I remember, like, there would be times within the relationship where I'm avoiding hard conversations just to keep the peace, because it's like I don't want to keep arguing. And it's like, that's not healthy. You know what I'm saying? That's actually a pattern that bleeds over into another part of my life, where it's like, you know what? Because I want to keep the peace, I'm not going to have hard conversations at work. I'm not going to have hard conversations with my family. I'm not going to have hard conversations with my friends. Like, and then it gets to a point where you're not even having hard conversations with yourself. You see how that bleeds over, and they all literally like flow together. Now, pause real quick. That was my situation. I want you to put your situation in there, and I want you to recognize where your patterns are actually showing up within your relationship and how they are bleeding over into other areas of your life. Let me ask you this, because this is some of the stuff I had to ask myself. Where do I abandon myself to keep a relationship? Boy, ugh. When I started asking myself these questions, listen, it got real quick. And I mean, for me, I'm telling you, like, I what do you tolerate early that you later resent? And these are such good questions. And I want you to really like reflect on them, because honestly, at the end of the day, can't nobody keep it real with you but you. Like, you should keep it the realest with yourself. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you can't expect your friends to do it for you, your family to do it. You have to sit down with self and be totally transparent and honest about these questions, right? And when you do that, you actually start like, okay, you know what? Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And it's going to force you to be like, yo, all right, something got to change. And it's got to change now. Another thing that I would ask myself, what am I afraid will happen if I choose better? Y'all, oh, come on. For a long time, I thought I didn't deserve better. I thought I didn't deserve better because when I started dating, like I told you, I was 17 years old when I had my first relationship. And I didn't do well in that relationship. I didn't do well in it. And a lot of it had stemmed from not feeling chosen. Also reflecting on the type of relationships that I saw growing up. And so literally, I come from like a background of like people always having rosters. You know what I'm saying? Always having one relationship lined up after the other. And so literally, I didn't know how to like show my emotions or talk about how I felt, what I desired and didn't desire, what I was feeling and wasn't feeling. And I was also coming from a very lustful space. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had never heard anybody in my family like being with somebody, for like, what I'm saying? Like real reasons. Like, oh my goodness, I'm in love with this person. This is the love of my life, XYZ. You know what I'm saying? And so it was always about a gain. You know what I mean? And so, yeah, like I said, for me, it was just, I was coming from a very lustful space during that time. And so I cheated on her a lot. I was just unhappy in a lot of different ways. But really, it didn't even have nothing to do with her. It was me. And I say it was me because I had told her in the beginning that I didn't want a serious relationship. Like, this is my first relationship. So, I want to date around. And so for her, she like, yeah, nah, you dating me. And so, we laugh at that. We joke around that, like thinking that hee ha ha, until it comes to another situation where it's like, oh, I told y'all, like, I had a problem with being chosen. So by the time I started having relationships, man, I'm being chosen left and right. And so in my mind, it's like, oh, okay, I got to date this person. Oh, I got to date that person. And it's just like, I had felt that way. And I really had to learn over time, yo, just because this person like you, that don't mean that you have to date them. You understand what I'm saying? And I know that sounds even crazy, like you had to learn that. Yeah, I did have to learn that. You know what I'm saying? Because like the way I saw relationships, it's like, okay, cool. This person like me. Okay, bet. I might not like them. You know what I'm saying? Like how they like me. But shoot, let me give it a try. You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, when you start trying to force yourself to like somebody and you recognize that there's no compatibility, there's no spark, there is nothing drawing me to you other than you being drawn to me, that's not enough. You understand what I'm saying? And even when we talk about, okay, well, I love this person, love isn't enough. You know what I'm saying? Because you can love somebody all day long, but it's like there's a piece that's still missing. And like I told y'all earlier, that's the whole reason why I have kept starting over and I keep starting over, because I actually want to feel that type of love that I yearn for you. We yearn for one another. You know what I'm saying? I think I told y'all this a few weeks ago, right? But I have finally gotten to the point in my relationship with God where I told him, I said, Lord, I'm in love with you. And I meant that. Like, not saying, like, okay, boom. Okay, I've said I'm in love before, right? I thought I was in love before. But it's like what I feel with God, it's like, it's something different. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm just like, oh, so this is what love is supposed to feel like. This is what me being in love is supposed to feel like. Not all of like the butterflies and the all the, nah, it's deeper than that. You know what I'm saying? And so it started making me realize that, like, you know what? This is what I'm talking about when I say I want to experience this type of love. This is what I'm talking about. And so it finally got me to a point where I'm just like, you know what? Lord, I want to date the person that you designed for me. Yep. Oh, come on. I want to marry the person that you specifically designed for me. That's what I want. You feel me? Because I feel like, okay, I've seen the patterns. You know what I'm saying? I've seen, the different spaces within my relationship where I have fallen short, and then I look at the partners that I've dated, and it's just like a lot of these relationships have been unbalanced relationships, but it's been unbalanced. It's like, even though it's been unbalanced, there was a time when I needed that experience. You know what I'm saying? And so when I look back, though, God is a really amazing because he's made provision every single time. And I've missed so many red flags, not because I wasn't paying attention. It was because I had chose to keep overlooking it. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna ask you to raise your hand because you might be sitting next to the person that your current husband, your current wife, your current girlfriend, your current boyfriend. But it's some of y'all right now in relationships, in situationships. It's so many red flags right now that you see, and you focused on, well, nah, let me just wait around a little longer and see where this go, and then be mad later on where a little longer than turn to years, and now y'all having issues, but the problem is they not new issues. They the same issues that you thought was gonna get better over time. They the same red flags that you thought was gonna change into green flags over time, and they didn't. You know what I'm saying? And so now here you are. You feel stuck. You feel like, okay, it's too late for me to start over, so I gotta stay here. And I just want you to know you ain't got to stay nowhere. Yeah, hey, let me tell you something. And you can't even look at it from the space of, because some of us have been taught, well, I'd rather be in a relationship than be lonely. You lonely in the relationship. You lonely in the relationship. Listen, I would rather spend time with myself, and I've experienced this, than to be in connection, in conversation with somebody who don't value my time, who don't value my presence. Do you understand me? Like, I'm big on quality time, right? And so there's been so many times where I could just be chilling. I'm just sitting back and I'm looking at the person that I'm dating and I'm just watching them like sit here as if I don't exist, right? And then I reflect back on like, yo, there was a time when we wanted to be in each other's presence. And now that we're in each other's presence, you haven't even looked up from your phone. You don't even prioritize me. You understand? It's stuff like that that really starts to be like, okay, you know what? I'm taking notes. I'm taking notes. I'm seeing what's going on. Like, okay, what we doing? And I was having this conversation recently where I was telling them like, yeah, I'm starting over again. I'm single. And it's just like, bro, are you going to be okay? Yes, I'm going to be okay because I know that this was the best thing for me to do. There are some of y'all right now that's in jobs. And I understand you got responsibilities. I get that. I do. I understand that you got to provide for your family. I get that. I understand. I do. But it's a better way. And there's more out here for you. You don't have to keep settling. You don't have to keep being in survival mode, because that's another thing too. The more you settle, the more you stay in situations that no longer serve you, that keeps you in survival mode. It keeps you in survival mode, and it's like, where are we going? Nowhere. You look up. That's why I'm telling y'all, it's so many people right now in many depressions. They not excited about the new year. They not excited about, even when they wake up in the morning, they don't roll over and look at that person that they laid up with like, oh my God, I'm so glad I get another day just to see you. I'm so glad I get another day just to spend time with you, just to call your name. And it's like, when I start talking about these things, it really makes me desire this stuff even more, because that's how I feel about God. When I wake up in the morning, the first thing that I do is say, good morning, Lord. Thank you for another day. Thank you for another opportunity to do what you've called me to do and be who you've called me to be. And you feel me? And I come from a space of adoration, and it's like, I'm just grateful. And it's like, I can't say that about previous relationships. I can't say that. Like, I remember there used to be times I would wake up and it's like, this still it? Like, this, we still doing this? You feel me? Like, come on, man. And listen, as it really, but as I've gotten older, it's been about alignment for me. And the things that do not align with where I'm going and what I'm doing, I have had to let go of. And it's been hard because these are people that I care about. Yeah. These are people that I thought, was going to be here on the whole journey and all of this. And it's like, unfortunately, I have to let you go. It's not that I don't want to keep you, but it's like you can't go with me to this next level. You know what I'm saying? And I can't go with you to where you going. And I accept it. You know what I mean? And so I'm telling you, like, it's so many things that because of a lot of different situations that I've seen growing up, I've had to unlearn. I've had to unlearn a lot of like relationship trauma. I've had to unlearn just a lot of things that I've learned about relationships because that's another one of the things that I feel like we inherit relationship styles. Like we think because this is what worked, quote unquote, worked for others, before us, especially like within your family, that you feel like this is how you got to move, this is how you got to operate. And it's just like, nah, you can definitely change and be who you're supposed to be. You know, everybody has a story, and we don't always know everybody's story to even understand why they move the way they move, why they operate the way they operate, right? And so that's why it's important for you to be careful on the things that you say you want. I remember one day, my little brother, shout out to my little brother, man. This was many, many years ago, many years ago. And we was having a conversation, and he was just be like, man, dang, sis, like, you be pulling, like, woo, woo, woo. And so he had said something along the lines of, like, yeah, man, like, I think I want me a roster. And so I had told him, I was like, yo, listen, be careful for what you ask for, what you say you want, because there are some things that you might want. There are some doors that you might want to open that's not meant for you to open. You know what I'm saying? Like, there are people out here during that time, like, I was just telling him that some people have a roster and it looks good on the outside, but they really hurting in the inside. You know what I'm saying? They haven't found themselves. And so there's this constant need to switch out, partners and lovers and things like that, for various reasons, various burdens that they're carrying. And, it's not healthy. You know what I'm saying? They're carrying around trauma and hurt and don't even know why. Why they moving the way they moving. It just looks good on the outside. You know what I'm saying? And, that was probably one of the realest things that I could tell him during that time, because it's like we glorify people with rosters. You know what I'm saying? People with, yeah, I got options and woo, and it's just like, nah. No. There is somebody out here specifically for you. And it's a different type of love that you experience when you actually come into connection with somebody that you know for a fact, this is my person. There's a different type of, there's a different level of just life being had. Different type of fulfillment when you know that you are in connection with the right people. You understand what I'm saying? And we already know just from, life in general, when you are connected to the right people, life gets better. You feel me? Like, life gets better. Like, it's a different type of vibe. And that's all I could say about it. Like, it's a different type of vibe. And the thing is, if you feeling that vibe or not, but it's going to take you to be honest with yourself. Me being in relationships has been a complicated journey, because I've had to unlearn just so many things that I've learned, and I've had to even learn myself. You know what I'm saying? Learn what I really need, learn what I really want, learn what I really desire, and not be afraid to go after those things. And because I am no longer settling, I've been able to have connections with different people that I would have never had a connection with had I kept settling. I would have never even been able to show up as my most authentic, as my highest self, even in life right now, had I not stopped settling. And there's people around you right now that are okay with you settling because they get the benefit of you settling. You feel me? Because when you start elevating, when you start growing, there are going to be things that begin to break off of you that when they break off of you, that means it breaks off with those people too. And you be surprised the people that end up getting left behind because it's those people, they benefiting from you settling. They benefiting from you dimming your light. They benefiting from you not showing up as the best and better version of yourself. They get to benefit from that. Everybody benefiting but you. You holding yourself back. There is a whole new life waiting for you. There's a whole new life on the other side. And you have to get there. You got to step into it. You got to let go of the things that don't serve you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to start choosing peace and not patterns. Woo, yes, sir. If it's costing you your peace, that means it's too expensive. And you need to let that go. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I'm telling y'all, I told y'all earlier, me getting a divorce was one of the most freeing things I could have did. You know what I'm saying? Me walking away from other relationships after my divorce. And that's the thing that I've been noticing with me. Every relationship after my divorce has just gotten better. And that lets me know every time somebody be like, oh my God, you're starting over. It's like, yeah, I'm getting closer to what I want. I'm getting closer to having the type of connections that I want. I'm getting closer to the woman that God showed me in my dreams. I'm getting closer. I'm getting closer. And that's the part that excites me. That's the part that feeds me. Because, like I said, I'm a lover. You know, I'm used to just staying because that's what we've been taught to do. And it's like, nah, I don't want to stay because that's what we've been taught to do. I want to stay because I actually love you. I want to stay because I don't desire anybody else in the world but you. I want to stay because I know for a fact that God designed you for me and vice versa. I want to stay because I want to see you thrive. I want to see you win, like I'm rooting for you. I want to see you get everything that God has for you and more, like all of those things. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want. And so it's like, all right, cool. Because I know I want that, I'm having that. I'm going to have that. And I'm smiling hard right now because I know it's on the way. I know it's on the way. You hear me? So, man, I hope that, you know, y'all understand, man. Healing isn't just about, like, journaling and affirmations. You know what I'm saying? Like, healing is about change behavior. Yeah, choosing different. Healing is about pausing instead of rushing. And it's like when you take the moment to pause and make the decision that I want to choose better, I want to have better, I want to be better. Oh, man, it's exhilarating. And, you know, it actually gives you hope in the dating world. You might be a little timid, right? Because I know you done heard like, oh, it's piss in the dating pool. Man, the God that I serve, hey, yeah, I know he can change things. Yeah. And the pool that I'm in ain't gonna be that type of pool. You feel me? The pool that I'm in, alignment. Yeah. Forward movement. Healing. Choosing better. That's why the pool got piss in it. Because there are a lot of relationship cycles that people are still choosing. They're choosing what's familiar. They're choosing what's comfortable. They don't want to go out here and get something different because they don't know what that's going to lead to. Come on. They still got their list. And I'm talking about the list that's ain't got nothing to do with nothing. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, I'm telling you. I'm grateful. I'm really grateful to just be able to talk to y'all about this stuff, man. Because like I told y'all, there used to be a lot of shame wrapped up in, me having conversations about relationships because I am starting over. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not ashamed. I'm starting over for good reasons. I'm starting over because I want more and I want better. And speaking of better, shout out to Mike Todd. His new movie, Relationship Goals, is dropping. And I can't wait to see it. And I'm really excited about it because I remember when he did the first series on relationship goals. This is before it became a book. And I remember sitting in front of the TV crying. I was crying because he was like, yo, this about to change how you see relationships. And some of y'all might be starting over. And I knew he was talking to me because, man, and I was in relationship with the girl that I was telling y'all about, that I was married to, and all of that. So yeah, like that situation was a ride. And so this is actually the that series, and I bought the book. The book is what changed my perspective on relationships. And I actually started understanding how a lot of the things about relationships has just been learned behavior, and that we really don't have a good grasp on relationships. So, yeah, man, I hope this helps. I hope that you are able to sit with yourself and, think about, what kind of boundaries do you want to kind of put in play before you start dating again? Or if you're already dating, what boundaries do you want to put in play right now? Because I think that it's never too late to put boundaries in play. Forget what you heard. You can set a boundary right now and you can enforce it right now. Yeah. Also, man, be thinking about self-worth before seeking validation. Like, I've stayed in so many situations and dealt with so many different things because I ain't gonna hold y'all. My self-worth, it was non-existent. Like, for a long time, I didn't even know what that meant. Self-worth. Like, what is that? And so it wasn't until I really started valuing myself. When people ask, like, yo, what do you bring to the table? What do you bring to the table? Like, I had to sit with myself and think about, who am I and what do I bring to my own table? Like, tell me about my self-worth. And I had to spend time with myself and figure that out. You know what I'm saying? And I think if you don't know, if you don't have self-worth, if you don't have just integrity and just value self, you got to put a pause on these relationships and really begin to value yourself, because that's the thing about this. When you take care of yourself, you teach people how to take care of you. You know what I'm saying? When you value yourself, you teach others. And if they can't meet you where you at, then it's not the one for you. You know what I'm saying? It's not the one for you. Emotional regulation before commitment. How do you regulate your emotions before you commit to someone else? Because let me tell y'all something. There are some of us right now in relationships with people who have the expectation of their partner, their person, to be able to regulate them, be able to do this, be able to do this. And you have all of these expectations of them being able to do things that you can't even do for yourself, that you don't even do for yourself. The whole thing about a partner, they're supposed to be able to assist you, right? They're supposed to be able to, be your better half. There are some things that you need to do on your own. There are some things that you need to build up on your own. You know what I'm saying? And you allow your partner to assist you with those things and not do them for you. You understand what I'm saying? Discernment before attachment. Now, this is key. You have got to ask yourself, what version of me keeps choosing this relationship? And this is important because when you start moving from a place of discernment, remember I told y'all those red flags that I saw, but I overlooked them, or me falling in love with their potential and not the reality of them. Listen, trust your discernment. Lean on it. You know what it's telling you, but it's going to require you to be honest. It's going to require you to be honest and be like, yo, you know what? I love you, but this ain't it. And you know what I'm saying? And you gotta be able to say that, stand on that. And that's gonna be okay. You understand? Listen, healthy love isn't about finding the right person. It's about becoming the version of you that won't accept what hurts. I really feel it's my time, think it's my year.